Hey guys, here we are again today working on our next step in our Jacob's Ladder as we climb up to the top. So we're going to dive on in and get started. First thing we're going to do is reread our story so it's fresh in our minds so we get ready to explore our questions. So follow along with me. Ready? The exploration of space gives scientists the opportunity to learn about the sun, stars, and planets. Some space exploration involves scientists called astronauts traveling into space. Astronauts use spacecraft, such as space shuttles, to travel beyond Earth's atmosphere into outer space, which begins about 60 miles above sea level. While in outer space, astronauts explore their surroundings with various tools, such as safety tethering systems to keep their spacesuits attached to the spacecraft. That's important. And smaller tethers to attach their tools to their spacesuits. Astronauts might also wear a SAFER, or simplified aid for EVA rescue. EVA stands for extravehicular activity, another term for a spacewalk. A SAFER is like a backpack that uses small jet thrusters to allow an astronaut to move in space. Other space exploration does not require astronauts, but instead uses spacecraft with robots or mechanical devices, such as satellites, to gather information. In order for spacecraft, manned or unmanned, to travel into outer space, they must first overcome the pull of Earth's gravity. The heavier an object, the more power is required to break the Earth's gravitational pull. As you can imagine, it takes a tremendous amount of power to launch a space shuttle. These large spacecraft require booster rockets full of fuel to launch them. The boosters burn the fuel that gives off gas bursts that push the spacecraft into the air. The spacecraft eventually reaches a height where the Earth's gravitational pull no longer affects it. Once it passes this point, the space shuttle only needs to fire the rockets to increase its speed or change directions. When a spacecraft is ready to return to Earth, it must first slow down. Once it re enters the atmosphere, it slows down considerably and begins falling towards Earth. The spacecraft deploys or puts into action parachutes that further slow down its descent. Spacecraft, like space shuttles, land on runways just like airplanes. Some of the earlier U.S. spacecraft splashed down into the ocean where the astronauts were picked up by boats. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, a satellite that orbited Earth. The space exploration officially began. Years later, on April 12th, 1961, Yuri A. Gagarin, a Soviet cosmonaut, became the first person to travel into space. On December 1968, the U.S. took the first trip to the moon in the spacecraft Apollo 8, orbiting the moon 10 times before returning to Earth. Less than a year later, the American astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969. As Armstrong placed his American flag on the moon, he said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Since the historic landing on the moon, astronauts have continued to explore space by traveling there and by studying data collected by satellites and other unmanned spacecraft. Through space exploration, astronauts and scientists have learned to continue to learn much more about the universe beyond Earth. Every time that gets me twisted up. Right, here are your two questions for today, boys and girls. The first thing you're going to look at is consequences and implications. And your question is, what are the implications of space exploration? And you need to support your answer. And yes, this does need to be in complete sentences. So you're going to think about, because we've explored space, right? Because we did this, what does it matter? Like, what has happened? What are the consequences of that? What has happened because of that, right? So I want you to think, you're really starting to think more deeply here. We're climbing up that ladder of complexity. Remember, these are passages that are designed for students like you who are able to do that extra digging deep, really starting to think outside the box kind of questions, right? So what are the implications because we've traveled to space, because we've taken these steps? What does it matter? What are the implications of that now, right? Okay, your second question, again, that's got to be complete sentences. Your second question, paraphrasing. So remember, paraphrasing means to reword something in your own words. But today you're going to paraphrase Neil Armstrong's statement. What did he mean when he said that one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind? Okay, so this is different from when you do the rewording for Caesar's English. Here, you're really going to talk to me. It took him one sentence to make that statement. You're going to unpack this in several sentences and talk to me in this box right here about what did he mean when he said that? What does he mean? What does that mean that it was just one step for him, for a man, but a big step for all of mankind? right? What does that mean? Unpack that. I want you to think about it, talk about it with your parents if you need to, and then I want you to reply with several sentences there. Make sure you submit it in Google Classroom, and then boys and girls will be back here tomorrow as we climb to the top of our ladder. Bye, guys. Love you. Miss you.